best bites forever.
What's up? Welcome to Best Bites Forever. In this video, I'm making this super creamy and fluffy coconut cream pie. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so, and let's rock this out. I am starting off here by making my pie crust. Of course, I am making my pie crust that my grandma taught me how to make when I was really little, but I did make a couple of changes. The first thing is I replaced the lard with coconut oil, and I also replaced a quarter cup of the flour with coconut flour. Of course, you can use a store-bought crust if you would like to, but if you want to make your own crust, I will leave a link down below along with measurements. Once my crust is done, I'm going to move on to my eggs. I have separated 3 eggs, and I put my whites to the side. We will be using those later, and I went ahead and scrambled up my yolks. So into my pot I am adding a quarter cup of sugar, a quarter cup of cornstarch, a quarter teaspoon of iodized salt, and I just want to give that a little bit of a mixeroo so that my cornstarch doesn't like bundle up and make friends with each other as I'm adding in my milk, which by the way is a cup and a half, and really it's best if you're using whole milk here. Go ahead and give that a nice little stir to get your ingredients happy together, and then we're going to add in our coconut milk. I am using a 13.66 can of coconut milk, and this is the one that I prefer to use. It's a Thai Kitchen organic coconut milk, and it has a really great flavor, so I highly recommend that one. I am going over here to my stove, and I have this on medium heat, getting that little bit of cornstarch in there, and I'm just going to stir this around until it gets nice and thick and bubbly, and it should be looking all gorgeous like this. I hope you can tell that it thickened up. Once you get to this point, give it about a minute of bubbling, stirring constantly, and then we're going to move it over here to where we put our egg yolks. You are going to oh so slowly drizzle that milk concoction into your egg yolks, making sure that you are whisking like a mad person. Make sure you're getting it all nice and incorporated. If you pour in too fast or whisk too slow, you will definitely make scrambled eggs, and that is not what we want. So I did this in real time for you so that you can get a good idea of what it should be looking like. I'm going to put that over to the side, put a little pot holder under my pot, and then I'm going to put the mixture right back in there because it needs to go back on the stove for just a minute here. I have this back over here on my stove on like a medium low kind of heat. I have it on number 4 on my digital stove, so 4 out of 10. If you watch the way that I'm stirring, I am stirring my sides and my bottom, making sure to scrape, like literally scrape my spatula all along the bottom and then all along the sides, and then repeat. You can see how nice and thick this is getting. What I'm looking for here is to start to see bubbles like it's boiling. So every few seconds I stop stirring just for a minute and take a look. If I see a big old bubble, it is done. Take it off of the heat, go back over here to your pie shell. Make sure that you're stirring even as you bring it over here because it can still make scrambled eggs on the bottom. You got to be really careful here, guys. I went ahead and added 2 tablespoons of butter into this mixture, and I'm going to stir that until it is nice and melted into it. And then I'm going to add 1.5 cups of coconut. In this particular case, I did use a sweetened coconut, but you could also use unsweetened. Both work really well. I just use whatever I happen to have in the house. The next ingredient that I'm adding in is 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and don't worry, all of these measurements are down below as always. I also had a teaspoon of coconut extract mixed into that. It's important to add your extracts when it's off of the stove because you don't want all of the flavor evaporating. Go ahead and pour all of that beautiful goodness into your beautiful pie shell that you hopefully made. And now we're going back to our egg whites, which are going into my bowl. That was 3 of them, along with a quarter of a teaspoon of cream of tartar and a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to mix those with my KitchenAid. That's my sugar and salt, by the way, that I'm just putting to the side. We'll get back to that in a second, okay? So mixing this up with my hand mixer. I have this on high speed. I want to get these nice and frothy. If you are doing it, then this is what it should be looking like, and probably under a minute depending on how fast your mixture is. Once you get to soft peaks, which means when you pull the mixer out, those little mountains, they just fall right over. Go ahead and add a little bit of your sugar. We're going to alternate, so you're just going to add a little sugar, mix, a little bit of sugar, mix, a little sugar, mix, until you have all of your sugar mixed in. Go ahead and keep mixing it until you have it like nice and thick. So what we're looking here is stiff peaks. If you look at my little mixer beater things over there in the corner, you can see where they have like the little points coming off at the end and they did not bend down at all. That is what stiff peaks looks like. So I am putting my beautiful meringue right on top of the coconut mixture, and what I like to do is just spread it out to the sides so that the edges are sealed first, and then I make my little design. You can make yours as smooth or as ridgy if you like. I personally like the way it looks when it's ridgy because you get like those little peaks with the color on them when you put it into the oven. Sprinkle a little bit of coconut on top. Again, I used the sweetened. This went into the oven at 350 for 15 minutes. It should have a little bit of jiggle to it when you take it out. This needs to cool on a cooling rack for an hour, and then 3 to 5 hours. I'm going to say 5 in the refrigerator before you go ahead and try to give it a nice little cut like that. This is the pretty side, so I'll be showing you that. I had a little bubble in my meringue on the other side, but that's okay. Isn't it gorgeous? All right, time for some pictures. Hey, you guys, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so now. And if you are a subscriber, thank you so much. You're freaking awesome, and I love you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Happy cooking, everyone.
BackBitesForever.com